Dr. Catherine Smith, if maybe you can just occupy this seat, and then Serene Bender, if also you may just come back and join me here. Dr. Dennis Gwinsai, also if you can just join me here, and Miss Linda, and also Chantal. I will then request the assistance of the executives of SACA with the roving mics to take questions. Please come to me. To the presenters, just for the purposes of order, I will request that you just raise your hand. They will spot you where you are. When you raise your hand, then you then indicate your name, and then you will then indicate who you're directing the question to. It gives time for the presenters to take note so that they can respond to your question and call you by your name. Can we do that then? The presenters are now here. If I can have the first 3 questions. All right, there is one hand there. There is one here on the second row. I'm noting 2. Otherwise, these presentations were clear, eh? So there are no questions. Great. Okay, there is Lucky on the other end there, the third one. Okay, let's... All right, let's take the 3 for now, and then we can see if there would be other follow-ups afterwards. All right, the next, the first one.
Thank you to the presenters and the program director. My name is Janam Zimatagu. I'm from the city of Johannesburg. My question is directed to Dr. Gwisai. But maybe before I pose my question, I must indicate that from yesterday, it appears as if the burial challenge is mostly in the urban areas, which is not necessarily correct in terms of spaces. I'm from an area where it's actually, we get buried in a very old missionary cemetery. As I'm sitting here today, I'm not sure where I'm going to get buried because that cemetery is full. Now, my question is, Prof. Gwisai, you talked about staking, which is happening quite widely in Zim, I think. Now I'm sitting here. My mother is no more. My father is no more. I'm wondering whether, I mean, how is the decision of with whom do I get staked is made? Professor Baloyi talked about a grave as being a house. Do I share the house with my mother or with my father? So I'm wondering whether those challenges are actually raised when we're talking, I know colleagues already in city parks as well, we are reburying. But are those questions actually coming to the fore when we're talking about reburials and staking? Because to me, really, I'm confused. I cannot sleep on top of my mother. I cannot sleep on top of my father. How do we address that? Thank you.
Okay. It looks I'm the next one to speak. I'm Elijah Baloyi. Firstly, I want to congratulate and say thanks, all of you. Your presentations were just thought-provoking, and they came at the right time. They are never late and they are never delayed. This is the right time we should be talking about these things because they pertain to this generation, not to the next generation or the other one before. I just had a few things as I was remembering because right here, we have a lot of things. It's fascinating because I have a lot of questions, but I will only ask 2. And I will be directing them to my only brother who is around the only brother in the room. We have got a lot of things to talk about here. Looking at the context from which we are, we are speaking on behalf of the people who sometimes need to come up and speak for themselves. Because I feel if they speak, I mean, the people on the ground root level, we see things differently from who they are. They are seeing things differently from where we are. And then secondly, like some people indicated, I also contributed to that yesterday, saying we still have inequality between the society. We have those who are in the rural and the poorest. Not to can afford all the other things that we're talking about. Meanwhile, they also have a big land. Like I indicated, there's some bushes that are there. And when you talk about other methods of burial, they just think, but you are joking. Where is that place without a space to bury? Because we have a lot of space. It's not that we don't have money and resources to bury, but we have a space. So we have that kind of inequality. But if we want to be inclusive, I will want to find out from you, how do we get the people from the rural of the rurals to be on board with this? Because the end of the road, if these things that we are discussing are going to affect the policy makers, the lawmakers, a law is equal to everyone. When they put in a law, it will not mind whether you are taking it to Kunu where there is no water. It will even apply that side. Like democracy is applying even to the old woman who doesn't know even what it means. So these things will affect them because the rules and the laws will go down to them even if they don't understand the dynamics. We are becoming their spokesperson. I'm happy someone mentioned the issue of not staying too much in an ivory tower, because the ivory tower can make you think you know better. Meanwhile, the real actual things are not happening in the ivory tower. I and you are sleeping with bread and water in our stomachs. We are sleeping in good houses. There are people who are burying people from a mud room. They are putting a coffin there and take it out there. So that's where I wanted to understand how will we bridge this in the end. Two, when you were speaking, you indicated an issue of people during the COVID being quiet. My question came to me saying, were they quiet or were they silenced? Because right now there are a lot of issues that are rising up. I remember I was talking to one family whereby they are still having a problem saying, how are we really convinced that we buried the right person? Because people were not allowed to view them. They were not even allowed to go close to the body. And now it's a trauma which is ongoing because the whole family is saying, whenever a misfortune is coming to the family, perhaps it's because we got the wrong body and then we buried the person. I remember there were two cases in Eastern Cape when I was doing some research, whereby one hospital was charged and then they had to pay money because a wrong body was delivered there. And only when they were going to bury someone I don't know whether it was by miracle or by what, I don't know. They managed to check and they find it's a wrong body. They had to return the body, and then the hospital was charged for all the expenses of the second burial when they brought in the real or the actual or the correct body. So those kind of scenarios, we still have them. So, but when you say people were quiet, were they really quiet or were they silenced because they were afraid? They were scared by this pandemic and also the rules which were coming in. Like nobody could argue or say anything against the rule because it was just one rule after the other every day.
Yeah. No.
Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Well said. The last one, Lucky.
Yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity again. My name is Lucky Rikotso. I spoke yesterday as well. First thing first is just that Mr. Das is not called there. I would like to appreciate him for the initiative. Number two, you have been talking about the certificates of attendance, whereby for now there are no unit standards. Is looking forward to be doing whatever I can do to make sure that this qualification or the course is recognized. Thank you very much for that. So the question here, I have heard Dr. Catherine. She touched something She said while she were at Mexico, there is a day where they remember the dead. And here in South Africa, I remember only the Royal Council or the tribal leaders. They proposed that day for us to can remember, or the Remembrance Day. So to the house, what is it that we can do that, for an example, on that day, there are so many things we can do at our cemeteries. We can go clean, we can visit, we can do. Unlike saying we only do that on Mandela Day, or it's a day whereby someone known at our area passed and then we only visit the cemeteries. I think if we can propose for the National Remembrance Day. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Wow. Okay, those were 3 questions, and I think we've caught it well. Dr. Nkwisa, I think there was quite a bit for you to respond to, and also to you, Catherine. Were they quiet or they were silenced? Interesting question, eh? Okay, let me give an opportunity. I believe that those mics are live, not dead. They are. Okay, we're dealing with death issues here. So the issue of being alive and death, it's okay. in between. Okay, over to you.
All right. Thank you very much to the questions that have come through. I appreciate the discourse of interest. How do you address this question of staking? Again, we need to reflect on the dynamics of preparing ourselves for death. That's number one. The first perspective is most of us do not plan ahead. And it has become critical, just as we save to buy a house, we mortgage, just as we prepare our burial sites, and now with private sector, we have seen people paying for their burials like 20, 30, 40 years before they pass away. That's number one. And then who is the ancestor? I don't want to be misquoted, but taking from our pastor, Prof. Baloy, they say, therefore a man shall leave his family and cleave to his wife. So it makes the man the ancestor of that household. So if you die first, your wife has to lie on top of you, right? That may be a discussion to expand on it. Remember, we are also talking about if you die without a child, there are other rituals and rites, right, that are done. So it's really a discussion that we can expand and make it more interesting. But more to it, the consideration to begin to invest in a space where you're going to be laid as a family is a critical dimension. And it's not just modern, it's tied to the traditional way of burials. If you agree with me, with missions and councils, missionaries have their burial sites. And when you visit, I'm sure when you got married, there's a time where some of those grandmothers and uncles to your spouse took you to a certain place, and they highlighted to you that this is where our great-grandfather is buried, and so on. So all those appear in the physical, but within the social and spiritual dimensions of our cultures and our religions, it holds a certain level of value and honor. I remember myself when I visited my in-laws' place, I was told there was a mountain. There's a mountain area where they bury their, and everyone who is Christian is buried there, right? Because that's their traditional belief system. And everyone who is known not to be going to church is then buried on the side of the heathens. It was a lower area, right? Yeah. And I got to learn this when I was getting married. So it was not just about death. It was also about, if you've married our daughter, we would want to see you right up on the mountain. So what does it mean? You need to be spiritual, and so on and so forth. So you actually begin to realize that that culture also models you to be the ancestor. All right? Okay, so let me stop there for your question. Let me take Prof. Baloi's question. Prof. Baloi, context and planning on behalf of others. The children of Israel, when they left Egypt, they were a mixed multitude. Somewhere. And there were certain people who started saying to Moses, we remember the garlic, all right? And we remember the good things. Maybe those were not going to Canaan. And when we look at the bigger picture, only 2 made it to Canaan. The critical juncture of context brings in the issue of participatory appraisals. The discourse within our hotlas, we're under the chiefs, in Nduna, Makosi, matters more now before there are scenarios of judging and ruling because there is an altercation or there is a misunderstanding. It is important to inculcate that culture of bringing up all age groups to begin to appreciate their role plays, including death. Remember, we actually have a traditional matrix of sharing orally information, such that when we are brothers, you come to the younger brother, he will tell you, this subject matter, I am not privy, but I know my elder brother knows it. It is in the same vein that when we inculcate a participatory appraisal approach, just as we do for initiation and other value systems, it would benefit us to actually not just represent them, but also create a platform for them to air their views and their values. And the last one is the context of inequality. Indeed, it's justified, but we are supposed to reach a stage where there should be contributions towards burials from a national platform. There should be a manner of a basic scenario of burying the poor of the poorest. If we can have a national health insurance for just primary health care, why can't we also have a similar model that will accommodate the least of the least? We have all those mechanisms where young ladies who are unemployed and have a family to take care of receive something. Why can't it be the same? Not in the context of being a pauper, but in the context of appreciating that we are not the same. I thank you.
So much. All right, today there was some few questions also for Catherine. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for the question about the Day of the Dead. I can say what I observed when I was there, where I traveled with a group to, I think, 5 or 6 different cities and towns, seeing how this was enacted. It has been largely co-opted within sort of European American culture because it happens pretty close to Halloween. So there are those connections, but actually it's the days, it's early November. And it's not a single day, but it happens over a number of days. There's a big focus on children getting involved, which I think is an extremely healthy, a very healthy practice. But what I really saw was how families and the community at large, and it connects to Antoinette's presentation yesterday about getting communities involved in keeping cemeteries alive. The work that is done to clean up the cemeteries, beautify them with flowers. Food offerings are made. There's traditional food practices and food cultures. It's a huge entrepreneurial opportunity as well, because there's a market that springs up around. You've got to feed all these people. There's a lot of tourism attached to the Day of the Dead now as well. So it's a very, very interesting proposition. One needs to guard against cultural appropriation. But what I saw there was one of the most healthy examples of a community understanding like the circle of life and how history is always relevant in the present. And the mixed multitude, a phrase I love, is absolutely evident. And it's an extremely joyous occasion, but there's also a private element to it where families have their own ritual altars set up, and images of ancestors are placed there along with their favorite beverages or whatever else, and those are available sometimes in semi-public places as well. But you do get a sense that that community really kind of comes alive in the context of recognizing the dead, and that seeming paradox I found extremely beautiful to witness. I just wanted to also mention something about this science to community, because it's something I've realized is very much at the heart of how I approach this. Someone mentioned the ivory tower and sort of not remaining in that ivory tower. There's and the misidentification in death comment also was made a little bit earlier. In a forensic context, or in any context really, I think we need to be very mindful of if someone is misidentified in death and then buried, it creates problems for two families at least, and a lot of other administrative costs, etc. But it's the trauma associated with that I've certainly seen firsthand, and then how to rectify that problem. We're very fortunate in our Science for Justice project to have the International Committee of the Red Cross as an external partner, and we have done, colleagues at the Tygerberg facility have done an experiment where they decided to engage the community in the identification problem. And they did, I think, what SAPS is supposed to do, but their forensic officers went and knocked on doors. And over a single weekend, they resolved more than 50% of unresolved cases on their books, simply by following up information and they had to play detective, which is not their mandate, but they did it to kind of demonstrate that even just doing the basics is really, really important. We don't necessarily need all the fancy science. What we're trying to do, yes, we're working with very high-tech things, but we're trying to find the simplest and cheapest solution, because we know that our context has limited resources but very high volumes. So this knocking on doors was really successful, and as a result of this success, the ICRC has been very generous. They've donated digital fingerprinting equipment, cameras and various things, so that those officers can now do their community knocking on doors with tablets to collect the information digitally, digital fingerprint scanners, all kind of portable. So we're trying to eliminate error at the point of information collection, which has been certainly my experience with the work that I've done, is that error is introduced on admission. And then you can't possibly, it's a little bit like, the idea of garbage in, garbage out. It's sort of computer programming language. But if you don't collect the information properly at the source, it is a hell of a lot of work to try and verify and correct that later, especially as our systems don't talk to each other as well as they possibly should. Thank you.
Just one line. Okay. Just a two-liner. Indeed, COVID silenced everyone, but it also set a precedence that will remain in the history of our young people. By the time some of us are gone, long gone, that era will remain as a precedence of how to do things when certain challenges come on board. I think that's how I can respond to that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. A round of applause to our presenters. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for your kind and your intelligent responses given. And thank you to the questions that were posed, and I believe that they were met with an expected and equal responses that they were given. Colleagues, this then takes us to the end of this first segment of the day. Thank you for your participation till this far. And I just want you not to move for now. I just want us to observe this moment with respect. I'm just going to call upon Undato David Maluleke, who is the head of operations, to come forward to hand our token of appreciation to the presenters. And they are a good host to us. And it's only fitting that this honor is given to you. Thank you so much. I'm not sure if we have how we need to position ourselves in terms of photos, but if I can get someone, yeah. Thank you so much. Yes, you can. Ladies first. Ladies first. Thank you very much.
Yeah, my pressure. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. Okay, I think Miss Linda, she's got a lecture to take care of. I think her gift will be given to her later on. But thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Let us then synchronize our watches, because we all got smart watches and this Rolex and all that. So we've got 15 minutes break. I just want us to stretch and then come back. My watch here is saying 25 past 11. Are we good? 25 past 11. So 15 minutes to that. Then we are coming back at what time? 1:45. Okay, we are coming back at 11:40. Thank you so much, colleagues. Thank you. A different approach on to present, which I truly appreciate. And what we appreciate the most is it's just the end part of the presentation that says, you know, any proposals that are put forward without the action that is backing that proposal, then it remains a proposal. So thank you for sharing that, and we are praying that all those that are still need to be interrogated may also follow suit of what have been achieved at this point. So it can be done, colleagues. It can. I'm saying this wherever I go, whenever we are being sent to go and train, we're saying this statement everywhere, that it can be done if you can just play your part. You can, because sitting on the sides and lamenting about it and doing nothing about it, we will come back here and we're still going to lament about it. But once we start to move into that space where we are doing it, then that little step that I can do and that you can do can then start to make a difference. So thank you for that. Colleagues, I think what we need to do now, because we have already tried to compress all the presentations and we are done with presentations. If we can break for lunch now, we won't have an opportunity to thank you properly in this number, because I know what food does into one's stomach. Yeah, so we might as well do that. And then when we move here, then we move with all our belongings. We have something to eat. And then after that, we take some few photos and then we go. And then go and prepare for a gala dinner tonight. Is that good? Yeah. All right. Let's do the panel session then, so that at least we can wrap up this session nicely. May I then humbly request all the presenters to come back here There are nice seats here, white ones, that are here for you guys to sit. And then if I can have the executive team again with those roving mics, and if we can just take a few questions to the presenters, so that we can wrap up nicely the session that we have just been. All right. Can I take the first round of questions? With the show of hands, I've got, okay. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Okay. Let's do the first round. We'll take 4 questions in the first round, right? There's an indication of 7 questions at this point. We're going to take 4. Can we just do 1 question? If you have 2 or 3, can you just reduce it to 1 so that we can save time? Okay, the first 4.
Okay, greetings, colleagues. I'm Dudu Masondo. I'm from Ehlanzeni District Municipality in Mpumalanga. I have 2 questions for Mr. Skosana. The first one is that at Ehlanzeni District Municipality, we have a lot of cemeteries that belongs to traditional council. So most of those cemeteries, no EIA was conducted. As a result, there's a lot of problems that are happening there. So according to your expertise or according to you, what must be done to correct the situation? And then number 2, what is the cost of EIA? Or it depends. Thank you very much.
All right, before we take another question, I've got an announcement or just a reminder from the media team that when you articulate your question, can you stand up so that it will give a good view for them as they're doing the live feed? It's just a request. Thank you. And then we can proceed.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mandi Sangwe. I come all the way from Port Elizabeth, Ekabeja. I represent the Nelson Mandela Bay municipality. I think I have a few questions. I want to ask Mr. Ngobeni about the presentation that he just did. You said that you collected data and you did interviews with the homeless people. I think it will just be interesting if you could share where do these people come from, and as well as if there was any involvement of authorities on what you have found. What is that? Has this been reported to authorities, to Home Affairs, if these are people that are here in the country illegally? So what was their take if that approach has been done? And I think since this is the last round of presentations, I thought we would have a session where we could have a look at the challenges which I have seen that they are similar within municipalities, such as vandalism. Vandalism of our depots, of cemeteries, where the fence that we have put up has been vandalized with millions of rands that we have invested. So maybe a session where we could share as the different municipalities around the room as to how do we tackle these issues. The issues of homelessness, which we have touched, security issues. My MMC is not here because NMPM does not have budget for security due to a political decision that was taken. But just to check how others are doing around these issues. Thanks.
Thank you. There was one there.
Okay, thank you. My name is Nolwando Nolangeni from King Sabata Dalingebo, Eastern Cape.
Would you mind to rise, ma'am, if you don't mind, please? Yeah, thank you.
Okay, my question is directed to Mr. Vusi Skosano. I have a question. What should be done when the residence comes very close to the cemetery? The cemeteries came first, then the residence was developed later. And then now that the cemeteries, we are facing that crisis of getting full, then when we are digging, every time when we are digging new graves, then the residents always complain that you are coming very close to us. Even though there was a buffer zone, then the resident was extended close to the cemeteries. Now, what should happen? What should be done? Should we close the cemetery or left the land that is coming close to the residents, knowing that our cemeteries are full? Or should we start beginning the crematorium area inside the cemetery? What should be done?
Thank you so much. Can we have the last one? Then we allow the presenters.
Hi, good day. My name is Tyron April from Bergrivier Municipality. My question is directed at Mr. Kosana. With regards to the EIA, when we plan cemeteries, it's a long-term process, and there's cost involved, especially when you need to appoint consultants. A lot of municipalities have difficulties with this, especially with income generation lately. So how can the department assist us in facilitating this process? You have alluded that you have competency within your department and your local provincial departments. How can we start a conversation where you assist us actually in terms of the regulations to develop cemeteries, but where the regulations is not so constrictive or restrictive on us, and that the cost doesn't become so prohibitive?
All right, thank you so much for that. Can we allow the presenters to respond? And if I may request that you be brief as well. Thank you.
Sure. Thanks. When we did the study on homelessness, we identify different where these people coming from. As I indicated, majority are from South Africa. We find there's guys from Zimbabwe, Malawi, Lesotho, and Zambia. But also it depends on what they do. If you look at the team from when we did the recycling, most of the guys who does a lot of recycling are from Lesotho, and most of the guys who works in suburban area who does gardens and everything would be the guy from Malawi and the other countries. And also it depends on the region of Johannesburg. If you go to region E, which is your suburban area, you hardly find the guys who are doing nyaope and smoking and everything. You don't. But you come into the inner city in region F, you find a lot of that. Our role there, remember we had to get confidence from these guys because this is a long-term study that we are doing. And we're still going to go there, and most especially now they welcome us to come over and get more information around the challenges that we're facing. We never even went wearing uniform. We never went in with JMPD or other law enforcement agency because we wanted to create that relationship that we have right now, where I can go in one of the settlement and I can get more information that way. And they're saying, please come and get more information. We'll give you more information. You will understand what are we collecting in terms of material, where are we selling it, what's happening around that particular industry. And we started realizing that even if the guys who you see pulling trolleys, they don't just go to any other areas. They've got areas where they go collect. They don't just go into other boundaries. So for us, and also because we are busy with reviewing our bylaws, we don't want to go in now and go and shock people. We wanted to get more information, but that doesn't mean as a city we are not dealing with this issue. We are dealing with this issue. I've got the team, our park patrolling team with JMPD, that goes into this area and remove But you must understand there's issues of human rights. The moment you go in and remove these people, tomorrow morning you are in court. So those are the challenges that we're facing in our public open spaces. But our approach is not to come into with law enforcement. Our plan is to have a conversation, understand about this industry, understand about homelessness, and you then give social development your information to say, look at this, they build to say, oh, now we understand. So working together with social development, we're getting more information around this, and it's just amazing that enforcement is the last part that we are looking at, is to have conversation around this issue. And when we're now developing our bylaws, these things are starting to come out now when we are able to understand. So us, it's not about whether I'm going to find someone from this particular country and I'm going to remove him or I'm going to know. For us, it's to collect data and understand the challenges that we're facing because it's huge. If you don't understand the challenges of recycling in your city, I can assure you today, it's big. And we have done it, and it's way bigger than we thought. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon again, ladies and gentlemen. Let me start with a question from Ehlanzeni. The old cemeteries, most of them will have not been authorized for one reason. You might find that during that time, or prehistorically before 1994, the municipalities then or the authorities then were just requesting a guideline document. So that needs to be verified with the municipality currently, but it is going to be very difficult to get the records of pre-1994. What I'm trying to say is that you might even find that when we check them, even to date, the thresholds might not necessarily be affecting them. You might find that the threshold is a little bit lesser than the normal threshold, so they might not necessarily have to apply for any environmental authorization thereof. But that it does not exonerate the municipalities because the grave sites and cemeteries and all that fall within the confines and the ambit of the municipalities. Ehlanzeni, what they should do is follow what we call NEMA Section 28, which we call the duty of care, because they cannot just leave those cemeteries derelict like that. In terms of the duty of care, they need to actually make sure that they keep those cemeteries in a living space, in a socially living space, so that no impacts are there that can affect either humans and other sections of life. So naturally you will find that actually the threshold, because the threshold now is 2,500 square meters or more, you might find that most of those cemeteries are not covered by the current threshold, and they might actually be exempted from applying for an environmental authorization. And I'm not sure, because when you either go for, if they are full, those cemeteries, if they are full, then it is the prerogative of the municipality to ensure that they apply for new sites. And normally those would have been covered in their integrated development plans. And we are saying integrated developments because they have a plan, a long-term plan, 5-year plan, in terms of what is that they want to develop. And grave sites and also cemeteries, you name them, should form part of the IDP plan. And they must be budgeted for. They must be compartmentalized in such a way that they are prioritized. And in this case, if they are full, they should be in a position to apply for the new ones, which will then follow the normal EIA process depending on the threshold. The cost of the EIA, quickly, the EIA doesn't come cheap, of course, because the municipality has to, or the municipalities have to appoint service providers or consultants on their behalf. Normally, before what we call the economic meltdown, we used to do EIAs for those areas or those stakeholders who cannot do them. But we never did, because municipality is another leg of government. So what they need to do is they need to understand the cost is a little bit high. Municipalities are not applying the application fees, which is either 10,000 or 5,000 or 2,000. It's for free for them. But the cost of the studies might be a bit more. So you might find that the consultant, when he does an inception report, an EIA phase report, or an authorization plan will want something in the range of 100,000 or 200,000, depending on the administrative cost of that particular company or service provider. So you must look at that range, but you can take it offline, and I can show you some of the statistics. And I can also refer you to officials in Ehlanzeni, in the office, where they can assist you quickly in terms of new applications. Then there was a question from King Dalinjebo. The residents are encroaching or invading, if I may be allowed to use that lingo, to the cemeteries. You see, this is a problem all over. I think my brother there has also even indicated that there are people who are living inside the cemeteries. So this is a challenge that we are facing everywhere. The encroachment is happening not just only in cemeteries, but also in other important amenities and open spaces where government is the key stakeholder. I think there should be a consultation process and also a way forward, maybe chart a way forward between the municipality and the people. Why? Because in the first place, if they encroach into the buffer, the question is, how did it happen? Was it politically motivated? Was it a riot? Was it just pure ignorance? And so on. I might not be familiar with the dynamics in King Dalinjebo, but that should be put squarely on the municipality to actually do a process of engagement to ensure that no more further movement in towards the gravesite. But if the gravesite is full and you cannot dig anywhere anymore, as I said earlier, you need to apply for a new a new gravesite or new cemetery. There is an office in Umtata where we can refer you, and also in the province where we can refer you, and very good officials who are keen to assist. And you can then do that. When it comes to there was a question that comes from the assistance to develop the cemetery and the cost. As I said, we used to assist, but now because of financial challenges from government, we no longer are assisting. But my brother, it must be noted that each and every municipality's IDP plan should have these EIAs planned in advance within the IDPs, because you can't develop now and then want to do an EIA. Where are you going to get the budget? So we are always ensuring that, and also highlighting and amplifying the importance of planning with the EIA in mind, so that you avoid an issue of non-compliance. So the cost thereof, I said, it doesn't come cheap anyway, because you are appointing a service provider and they've got their own rates. It's up to the municipalities in terms of how they negotiate the rates. But yeah, as I said, mostly they charge in terms of the 3 phases: inception phase, and then they come to the EIA phase, and then also the authorization phase. So one might be maybe a little bit of kind and say 200,000 for the basic assessment process, and the other one might say 150, depending on the cost and the charges. I think I've covered the 3 questions, Chairperson. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Can we? I think those were covered. Can we have the last one? We just need to wrap up. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 hands. Can we close with that? 1, 2, 3. There was a hand here. Okay. All right. Okay, in that order. I don't know whether anyone who's got the microphone closer, you can just shoot. Can we limit it to 1 question, colleagues? Otherwise, we're not going to finish. I know that there's quite a lot that has been now being resurrected. But just 1 question, so that at least it will be easier to respond to as we draw in towards the closure of the session. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Mine, it's not a question for now. Mine are just comments. So I just have 2 of them which I want to make, and maybe they will help SACA moving forward to make recommendations wherever they are making recommendations, so that when we meet next time, we can always go back and check what progress are we making with this. Is it only about research, or is it about impacting lives of people outside there? I realized from yesterday, all the speakers, thank you so much for today's speakers. I did not say that. I realized from yesterday, we are having something that is very needful in this from this conference. The first thing I learned is that we agree. There's no one who is denying that this is a multifaceted kind of a problem that we are seated with. and which cannot be dealt with by anybody else except all of us getting involved. Meaning, when it's a kind of a multi-dimensional or transdisciplinary that we need. Because, for instance, if someone goes to the people who are staying in the grave and then they simply do not want to be talked to, there's a psychological thing there that must be taken into consideration. Someone from psychological point of view must try to understand what they are doing, and someone must do the listening. Perhaps the other thing I wanted to indicate is that it looks like another thing. If I'm wrong, I'm under correction. The other thing is our Ubuntu is gone out of us enough to an extent that our brothers and sisters are outside there. I am not saying they are not criminals, and I'm not saying they are criminals. But from where we are coming in Africa, it takes a village to raise a boy. That's what John Mbiti used to say. And if these people we trace, like Mr. Bishop Ngobeni has been indicating, some of them, they still have roots to can be taken back to. But we are not helpful enough to can restore them to their own homes, to their own people, because it's not my problem as yet. Until they come and break my house or break my car, that's when it will be my problem. But I think somewhere, somehow, the decolonial project of bringing back our Ubuntu must be a project within this kind of a space. I will talk much, but thank you so much for that.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rabetse Masombuka. I'm from the city of Johannesburg. Firstly, thank you to the presenters for the insightful knowledge that we learned today. So my question relates to Mr. Skosana from DFFE. In understanding your role as the competent authority, have you considered the cemetery space in terms of developing a database for compliance that would feed into a state of cemeteries report as a benchmarking exercise for other municipalities to learn where we've been able to reclaim, where we've been able to understand the thresholds and the dynamics so that we can look to it. But it's also an exercise that maybe extends to SACA and other municipalities for how do we collate this information that we are obtaining, but also in terms of compliance of all of our cemeteries, be it active or passive. What is the state of our cemeteries? Have you considered that in leading that approach to help us build this information? Because the information is there, it's just not housed somewhere that's accessible for us to get to. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Okay, maybe can we take the lady right up there, and then you, sir.
Good afternoon. I am Leta Ramano from City of Ekurhuleni. My question is directed to Mr. Skosana. Mr. Skosana, as municipalities, we are confronted with abandoned cemeteries that emanates from farms. So these cemeteries, they were privately owned. So with the challenge of burial space, so the community is also in the lookout to look at what is available within our space. So how do we deal with those kind of requests that comes from communities where they have identified those abandoned cemeteries as possible space that can be utilized? Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you to all the presenters. I also have a question for Mr. Skosana, unfortunately. I'm struggling to understand the hierarchy of legislation when it comes to burial sites. For example, one has an idea that burials can only be conducted in cemeteries. But in other areas, there seems to be an option of burying in the yards. And one doesn't necessarily understand how that is governed, whether it's through municipality, through tribal authorities, or who decides that I can bury my relative in the yard? Can I do it in Sandton, have a grave in my yard, for example? Maybe the last one with Tatana Shikolokolo. When you presented, you started with a very gloomy picture, which suggests that we might be sitting here talking and the solution is not with us. And I'm actually struggling to understand that from here, what do we do when we go outside to ensure that whatever was discussed here actually gets buy-in from communities? I mean the environmental industry. We talk about environmental education, and the impact thereof seems to leave a lot to be desired anyway. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, colleagues. I think we're good. So there is one more.
Yeah.
Okay, colleagues.
I've been recognized,
Okay.
Chair. Please.
Okay. No, please.
Yeah, please.
Proceed. Okay, sure.
Yeah. I'm Kuleni from KST. Just one question. Just one question that goes to Mr. Kosana and the Bishop. What's the relevance of having the legislation as well as a policy, more especially when those are having the enforcement part? I'm asking this without being ignorant of the nature of the dispensation we are in, the system of governance. But the point, I'm just checking. With the issue of UDFFE, you find that we are having a problem with environmental related issues. And there is an invasion of the land. There is an invasion of the spaces, people doing deforestation without a consultation. And again, I hear both of you talking of a consultation. At what stage does one has to do a consultation? At what stage does one has to do enforcement? For how long are we going to be a mockery state? For how long should we live in that kind of a situation? Even if people, let me just make an example, Chair, even if people are protesting without having followed the provisions of the Public Gatherings Act, now they vandalize infrastructure, you would find leadership in all the areas that get affected. I mean, babysitting what is wrong. And now you find people invading the space of cemeteries. And those people are really vandalizing the infrastructure and as well as undermining the government authorities. Why should we spend time here if we cannot be persuasive enough? If we cannot, I'm just wondering, Chair, the committee of this, why can't USALGA be invited as a body now, not being represented by pieces of municipalities, just as a body to be part of this, and other stakeholders, so that these research informations, they get space to get into the government. Really, this thing, we're going to have a sinking government in front of our eyes. Thanks.
Thank you so much. May we have the last question from Afbob?
Ulinda Mhlongo from Afbob. I think the last gentleman that just spoke took the words out of my mouth. There's a lot that we have discussed today. I was saying to my brother here, can we have another session where now we know what is going wrong? Doc said it very perfectly, or Professor said it perfectly. We do have solutions. We just need to get them implemented and then run with them. We are one of the companies that are committed in doing the kind of work that we do. If there's one thing that we need, is also your commitment, so we can be committed to our clients. Thank you.
Thank you. Wow. That statement, we nearly made a mistake of not including it, but thank you for insistence to it. All right.
Okay.
No,
they all are coming this way. It's like you were waiting for me. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Look, when it comes to a question that was raised to say, have we considered a cemetery benchmarking information in order to assist among a number of things you mentioned, my sister, which is compliance and also a data bank of information. Look, the matter around the cemeteries and so on are within the confines and the ambit of the municipality. Yes, at the departmental level and in particular at the provincial level, we can provide you with all the cemeteries that we have authorized. That won't be a problem. But when it comes to the implementation part, which is operational by nature, that information will then rest with the municipality, because it is the municipality that controls that space. All municipalities across the country would be the competent authority that will control that space. So which means that there should be a liaison or a coordinated, multifaceted approach between the municipalities, metros, and the provincial departments in working together to ensure that that information is provided. And surely it might be uncoordinated or sporadic, but it is there in the municipality, in the municipalities. So maybe that is the first step to approach. But if you have a challenge, please don't hesitate to come to us. We can try to facilitate that for you through the provinces. When it comes to compliance, the municipalities must ensure compliance. We do compliance ourselves, but we don't want to trade in that space and end up infiltrating or interfering in the space where our competency jurisdiction is not met. Therefore, we have what we call a link or a combination, or what we call a working relationship between the province, and we're expecting the province to have the same with the municipalities, so that we can handle in either way. And the municipalities who are here, I think if you can go to them and ask them about the cemetery database, they should be able to draw that from their data bank. I think that should not be a problem. Now, there was a question that came from the letter who said that there are abandoned cemeteries from farming areas, and some of those cemeteries are privately owned. Again, where I'm at the national department. Well, for me, I am not ignorant of the fact that whichever way I need to liaise with the province, but the competency lies with the municipalities again. So the municipalities must take responsibility of owning up to all these abandoned cemeteries, and when they have a problem or they have a challenge, they can escalate it to the province. But at this stage, we haven't received any request for assistance when it comes to such abandoned cemeteries. Secondly, later, you might find that they abundantly so being abandoned might not necessarily mean that they are illegal. It's just that perhaps the threshold might be smaller. But that does not exonerate the municipalities in terms of Section 28 of the Act of NEMA for what you call duty of care, in order to ensure that those abandoned cemeteries continue to operate within the confines of the law, and they are not a threat to the society at large. So those ones can also be put under the ambit of the municipalities. Look, please maybe share with me, my email will be here, and I can also escalate it and maybe assist you with the municipality and the province, so that we can see how best together we can come up with solutions to address these abandoned cemeteries, because it seems like they are a challenge moving forward that we can do. Then there was a question around the bearing options. Yes, my brother, I'm from the school where we bury normally in the Orthodox way. So, but there are bearing options. I think you have discussed them during the course of this interaction here. And when you want to bury in your yard, no EIA is required, because the threshold is very small. So you can bury in your yard if the municipality or bylaws do allow you to do that. I'm not sure which one has that leverage. But no one is supposed to do an environmental impact assessment for burying in the yard. So rest assured, we will not want you to go and do a specialist studies for that. So that's just in short in answering your question. There was a question coming from Guleni. Guleni, you said, what's the relevance of legislation and policy? Look, me from forestry, fisheries and environment alone cannot operate in an island. Where there is invasion and encroachment and so on, we need to work in a multifaceted approach. Where is the issue of land, we need to have land affairs in presence. Where there is an issue of water and sanitation should be present in that forum. Because we alone cannot be alpha and omega, alma mater. We are just a department that is authorizing environmental impact assessment. We do have those challenges, Kuleni, and I agree with you that those challenges must be addressed, and there must be a solution moving forward. So we can also take it, you can contact me, you can take it where there is a specific related question which affects that area directly. We can take it offline and we can see how best we can advise you in that particular area. And the last one was just, I think it was a statement because the brother said he was already covered. And I agree with you, my brother. We need to know what went wrong. But at the end of the day, we also need to provide solutions. You have closed it for me, actually, because that is the biggest statement of the day. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. There was also one for...
Thank you. I was starting to worry that we are just straws here. Yeah, so at least we've got something to say. Ladies and gentlemen, as government, we've got a tendency, or we are taken as if we like imposing our ideas to the communities. That's the one thing. We always take the top-down approach in terms of communicating with communities. And we take that as consultation, and that's not consultation. Consultation, you go to the people before you come up with a resolution. And you take what the communities are saying, then you come and refine it to become something which belongs to the people. That's what I meant by that. And if we do that, we take that approach, we'll ultimately win in terms of having a common understanding in the approach that we want to take going forward. I know out there are a lot of differences. Sometimes communities, they take government, in this sense, the council, as their enemy. That's why when they want something from the council, they have to toy. That's the language they think you understand better. So let us reach a point. There was this guy who was walking in through the farms, and then he saw two. What are these big birds? Birds. Ostriches. They were fighting in one of the farms. He jumped out with the other farm into that area. When he arrived there, those two ostriches, they stopped fighting. They fought him. And he had to jump back to where he came from. Now, after they saw that he's jumped, they started fighting again. The point I'm making, Chairperson, is let us get to a point where we bury our differences for the sake of progress in our communities, and we do better. Some of these things are political, I know. In my previous life, I dealt with bureaucrats as well as politicians, where they were they were just throwing to each other with faces and words and so on, and blames and so on and so on. But we need to deal with that. Thank you so much, Chair.
Thank you so much.
I don't have to. I'm wearing uniform. I have to enforce the bylaw. Simple.
That's it. All right.
I'm just happy to be here and learn.
Okay. No, thank you so much. Pepe?
Sorry, Cyril, I don't mean to hijack anything.
No problem.
You've noticed I tried to keep myself as silent as possible and let the floor speak most of the time. But I think from Bishop's presentation, this is the reality we are facing. We talk about land and challenges, and you've got right in front of you, land that is currently being used for cemeteries being overtaken by people, right? And what happens here is we start looking at people as a problem. They are not a problem. They exist, like we all exist. And here's the amazing thing, they are South African, right? So we sit here as administrators and we tend to forget, and we put our jobs in front of us when we should be putting human beings in front of us, right? That's the one point I want to make. The other one I want to make is that you say the solution is out there. I say the solution is everywhere. Each one of us has a responsibility, every one of us. So these events capacitate you. They influence your intellect. They stimulate your thinking. You carry it from here. You talk to people, and you have that progression of one person speaking to the other, and before you know it, everybody talks about it, and then the solutions may start to come. Okay? It was very clear from a very limited study that when people had understanding, they were prepared to change. So this is what we are responsible for. We are not telling you to change. We are giving you the message. You do what you decide with the message. That's our role. And then I want to finish all of this by just quoting a son of South Africa, Mr. Steve Biko. He says, "The great powers of the world may have done wonders in giving the world an industrial look. But the great gift still has to come from Africa, giving the world a more human face." That's how I would like to end it. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you. You actually gave a temptation that then we can actually close here and just pack and leave. Thank you so much for that. That was very profound. Thank you. Colleagues, we are done with the panel. Thank you so much for all the questions, the suggestions, the input that you have made were all valuable. Thank you so much to our presenters. Once again, a round of applause for them. At this moment, I'm just going to request Dr. Vuyo to come and assist us in the handing over of the gifts. The token of appreciation from Johannesburg, City of Johannesburg, yes. Oh, okay, City Parks and Zoo, okay. Thank you. All right, I will assist you on that. Okay. All right, for photos, guys, you will assist us on how we're going to position. She was not here when we presented.
Oh,
yes. Yeah. Thank you so much, man. Please.
That was such a great presentation. Yes.
Colleagues, just a few things, Jay. We are almost done. We just want to give a few words and some direction for how we're going to proceed today. Maybe before we can do that, let's take this opportunity really to thank all of you. I know that we have had a program that was just mixed a little bit so that we were able to reach this point where we are in. So thank you so much for your patience. You've actually been an awesome audience this far. Can you give yourself a round of applause, please? Indeed, the topic or the theme that have this conference has been predicated for the internal evolution and transforming for sustainability. I think justice has been done to that subject. If you're looking at the quality of all the presentations that have come through. So on that note, we really want to thank you all, especially the host, City of Joburg, City Parks and Zoo, and the support of the Executive Mayor and the City Parks leadership under MD Mr. Mandro, Azola for helping facilitate and bringing this conference really to Johannesburg. For us, it's two hats. Yeah, but thank you so much, sir. Your role that you have played and that you have done have really, really, really helped us to reach a point that we are in. The organizing team, organizing a committee that was headed by Sisleta Madlala. I saw her. She was just walking down the stairs. Is she there? Oh, thank you so much, Ausleta. Kakulu. We truly, truly appreciate it. The PR and community services team, and which is spearheaded by Miss Jenny Modley. I saw her again. I'm not sure she have left. But thank you so much. We are grateful for the media exposure. SACA executives, you guys rock, really. To all the presenters, the delegates, and there is these guys that are ensuring that we are appearing quite nicely. And they call themselves Flux Folic Media for their audio and streaming services. And the team and staff from Brixton Multipurpose Center and the media attending. Our sponsors, Bob, thank you so much, colleagues. What you have done, perhaps maybe the words now might not say it in its fullest, but you will realize it because our partnership still continues as we move along. To our exhibitor, Graveyard Memorials, thank you so much, Lucky, for the stand and the information that we have shared. To SALGA at the provincial level, know that in the planning phase, there was so much of engagement, and also to SALGA at the national level. Thank you so much, Isnondumiso, for everything that you have assisted us from when we started to engage, and also with the photographer that is going to capture all the memory that is here. Thank you so much for everything that has been done. Colleagues, on that note, we just want also to say that there is a Facebook page for SACA. We also take this opportunity really just to do a bit of marketing, Bagit. So can we invite just to follow our page, not just to follow it, but like it, please. And if there is anything that you want to say, please make those comments. It will make the message to be more popular. And also on our website, there is a lot of information that is going to be uploaded there. Please visit it. There is going to be much of information in there. There is a request that there is a picture that was shot from this venue. It looked so beautiful with all the delegates. So there is a request that after we have declared the session closed, that we don't leave. So we come here, they will tell us of how we're going to stand, then we take that one big photo, then we can take our individual photos with our cell phones. Is it fine? Unfortunately, I cannot put up the photo here to see, just to appetize you, but it's beautiful. I've got it here on my phone. So please don't leave. We can take that photo. And just a reminder also that we are having a gala dinner courtesy of Johannesburg City Parks and Zoo. And the place is at Vet Club and Conference, number 7 Yale Road, Parktown, Johannesburg. And the dress code there is smart casual, and it's starting at 1800 hours, yes. So all those that have indicated that they will want to be part, and let them be there at that particular time. Just a reminder also for the tour tomorrow, we are meeting here at 8 o'clock, and then we have our light tea up until 8:30. Then by 9 o'clock, then the bus will leave. So I think those are important media coverages, I did acknowledge you guys, News 24, Josie FM, Caxton, Northcliffe, Melville Times, Daily Maverick, Africa News. I think there has been already a lot of coverage on TV. Newsroom Africa, ENCA, Sowetan, News 24, Eldos FM, 702, French TV. Guys, let the message be spread, and the moment there is conversations that are going, then the message will move in perpetuity. With that, allow me to thank you also as a program director for the day. Thank you so much. From KwaZulu Natal, King Cetshwayo, in the place where King Shaka Zulu was born and did all what he have done, which we don't have a luxury to talk about it here. But I thank you so much, really, for the warm respect that you have given from me when standing here from this morning till now. It have made my job to be much easier. If I've offended any of you by any means or what I've said, it was not intentional. It was just for us to get us to where you're now. So thank you so much, and we're good. Thank you. Yeah, we can all come.